What's up, EFD, and welcome back to Scout Report, the series where we give you the statistical breakdown behind European football's biggest talking points. While they remain among the continent's elite club sides, Manchester City are approaching a crossroads. David Silva, arguably the best player in their modern history, is leaving this summer, while the club's all-time top scorer Sergio Aguero is yet to renew his contract, which runs out in 2021. The citizens are also preparing to end the season without a league title for the first time in 3 years, and as things stand, face a 2-year suspension from the Champions League, which has led many to question Pep Guardiola's future at the Etihad. Like Aguero, the Catalan coach's contract is due up next summer, and if he's unable to compete in Europe's premier competition again until 2022, may decide his skills are best served elsewhere. The City hierarchy will no doubt do all they can to keep him. After all, they spent years modelling the club in FC Barcelona's image in order to lure him to Manchester, as spoken about in a special episode of Everything You Need to Know over on Football Daily. Go and check that out if you haven't already. But nevertheless, they must already be thinking about the possibility of him leaving and how they go about replacing a man who has proved irreplaceable throughout his managerial career. The base level numbers of his Premier League tenure are staggering enough to illustrate the size of the task facing the club if he leaves. A 72% win rate, by far the best in City's history, along with the second most games won, despite him ranking 9th for games managed. And he's even outdone himself on the grounds of longevity. No manager has lasted as long in the City job since the 1970s, and as things stand, he's won 8 of the last 9 domestic trophies available to him. So the perfect appointment is obviously paramount if the club wants to continue on the trajectory Pep has put them on. But in order to understand who City need, we must first know what kind of hole Guardiola will leave if he does depart the Etihad. Let's take a look. The highest bar. It's not difficult to see how much Manchester City have improved under Pep Guardiola, but for the purposes of this video, it's only right we recap what this progress looks like. When he was hired back in 2016, the citizens had just scraped into the Champions League on goal difference ahead of a Man United side which had mustered just 49 league goals under Louis van Gaal. In that final season under Manuel Pellegrini, they also finished just 3 points above Southampton, 4 above West Ham, and 15 off champions Leicester City. They only won half their league games, lost 10, their worst showing since 2009, and conceded 41, their worst defensive record since 2010. While he was aided by significant investments in his first summer, Pep's coaching had a clear and swift impact on a side which had looked lethargic towards the end of Pellegrini's reign. The previous season, despite looking defensively suspect when without captain Vincent Kompany, they actually conceded the least shots per game in the Prem with 8.9. And while they continued to look shaky at the back in Guardiola's first campaign, conceding just 2 goals less than the previous term, they actually reduced the number of shots they faced to 7.9 a match, and were giving away far fewer high-quality chances. City's expected goals against plummeted from 37.5 in 15-16 to 29.6 in 16-17, meaning the side were suffering far more from the hapless displays of Claudio Bravo in goal than a lack of solidity in the backline itself, which was benefiting from Guardiola's strict emphasis on possession, which also rose to 61% from 55% the previous season. The signings of Ederson and Kyle Walker only helped the defence further improve, adding solidity between the sticks and much needed pace at right back, and the following season they conceded just 27 times on their way to the title. The best defensive showing in the club's history, and a feat which often gets overlooked among all the records they broke in 2017-18. Furthermore, they posted an XG against of just 24.5 that season, the best achieved by any Premier League side since the metric came to prominence in the 2010s. Again, the side were just as notable for their impenetrability as they were for their attacking prowess, with both the front and back lines aided by the team's ability to control games to a degree never seen before in the Prem. City's average possession took yet another leap, this time to 66%, while their pass accuracy jumped to 89% from 85.5% the previous campaign. This near-flawless system helps explain why a Liverpool side containing both a world-class defence built around Europe's best defender and the continent's most dangerous attacking tridents were unable to beat them to the title the following season. and it wasn't until injury struck Aymeric Laporte in September 2019 that a serious crack was found in Pep's strategy. Whoever eventually replaces the former Barca coach will not only have to fit the philosophy laid down by Guardiola, but potentially evolve it too. But before we get into who could replace Guardiola, if you're enjoying this video so far, why not hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss another EFD video. Trust me, you will not regret it. The Apprentice. As we've already said, Pep Guardiola is pretty much impossible to replace. Barcelona never really looked the same after he left the club in 2012, and especially after the departure of right-hand man Tito Vilanova a year later. Even treble-winning Luis Enrique had a fair amount of detractors, and had to be bailed out on a number of occasions by the individual brilliance of Messi, Suarez and Neymar. Meanwhile, at Bayern Munich, the appointment of the older, more laid-back Carlo Ancelotti ended in disaster, and it's only now, nearly 4 years after Guardiola left the Allianz, that the side have returned to the level he originally got them to, under the tutelage of the previously unfancied Hansi Flick. So the City hierarchy clearly have their work cut out for them, and while Mauricio Pochettino is perhaps an obvious option, with his wealth of Premier League experience, tactical excellence and pedigree in European competition, he will likely have started a new job by the summer of 2021. So they may have to do something they've never done before and hire young. One man Pep has personally suggested could succeed him is former assistant Mikel Arteta, who worked by his side at City from his appointment in 2016 through to December 2019. Arteta is currently less than 6 months into his first managerial position with Arsenal, but he will have over 18 months experience by the time Guardiola's current contract runs out, and is no doubt trusted by the City group. In his 16 games in charge of the Gunners, the former midfielder has sought to arrest the decline overseen by Unai Emery, and it's no surprise that any progress is gradual. Arsenal have not been playing scintillating football under him, but they are already much tougher to beat. In fact, aside from an unfortunate loss at home to Chelsea 9 days into his tenure, Arteta is undefeated in the 10 Premier League games he's taken charge of. While half of those have been draws, his 40% win ratio is still a big improvement on the poor 28% ratio managed under Emery and Ljungberg in the first half of the season. And there is a reason for this. Arsenal's defence now concede 12.5 shots a game, compared with 16.7 under Emery, going from the second worst in the Prem to placing in the top 10 in this metric. The fact there has been no corresponding uptick on the attacking end shows the Spaniard is focusing on making the side watertight before implementing the possession-based attacking philosophy we expected of him when he took the job, and he will need significant investment in order to do this effectively. But while his time in charge of Arsenal has simply been too short for us to draw any concrete conclusions on his credentials, the work he did at Man City gives us some indication. Not only did Arteta help Guardiola settle into the English game, but he has also been given credit for the progress made by Raheem Sterling, one of the big success stories of Pep's reign. When Arteta was hired by Man City in the summer of 2016, the English forward had just come off a first season at the Etihad which had seen him display flashes of brilliance, but his form was inconsistent, especially in front of goal. Despite a memorable hat-trick against Bournemouth in October 2015, Sterling had appeared on the scoresheet in just 4 Premier League games that term, while his 0.48 expected goals and assists per 90 were only a marginal improvement on his final season in a poor Liverpool side. With the former Red keen to improve his game in the final third, Arteta spent hours with him on the training ground one-on-one, and it paid off. From 2015-16 to 2017-18, Sterling's shots in the box per game rose from 1.2 to 2, and while you can argue he was having better chances created for him by this point, he was also finding better positions and finishing better too. His 18 league goals for the campaign, a career high, came in at pretty much what was expected, with his XG standing at 18.83. That season, his expected goals and assists per 90 came in at a staggering 0.96, meaning he was pretty much guaranteed a goal contribution every game, an average which actually ranked him above Mo Salah and Harry Kane. And while this came down to 0.86 in 18-19, he was having to do more work in the absence of the injured KDB, creating more chances and completing more dribbles than at any stage in his City career. Coaches are generally judged on how capable they are of improving players, and Mikel Arteta has a shining portfolio from his work with Sterling alone. In a year's time, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli will no doubt be additions to his CV. The Wonderkid. But when it comes to coaching prodigies, Julian Nagelsmann is the obvious standout candidate. At just 32, he is younger than 4 members of the current City squad, but has been coaching since 2012 and has over 4 years of full managerial experience. And when it comes to player improvement, few do it better than him. After all, he took an ambitious Hoffenheim side from 15th in the Bundesliga in 2015-16 to 3rd in 2017-18. In the latter season, he helped Serge Gnabry take his game to a whole new level. The German winger was contributing to a goal every 164 minutes for an attacking Werder Bremen side in the previous campaign, but at Hoffenheim brought that down to a goal or an assist every 100 minutes, with his shots in the box per 90 rising from 1.4 to 2, and his expected goals and assists per 90 rising from 0.4 to 0.57. This gave the former Arsenal man the perfect stepping stone to blossom further at Bayern Munich. Now at RB Leipzig, Nagelsmann has managed to further improve the talismanic Timo Werner. Not only has the German forward contributed to 34 goals in 31 appearances in the league and Europe in 2019-20, working out to an involvement every 77 minutes, but he is also completing more passes, creating more chances and completing more of his dribbles than at any stage in his career. Whereas before he was undoubtedly a star in the making, under Nagelsmann he is quite simply world class. Nagelsmann's focus on ball retention, counter-pressing and quick passing requires the highest levels of fitness, concentration and technique from each member of his team, and means that despite his tactical flexibility, using a total of 9 different formations across 25 Bully games this term, the side's overall solidity isn't compromised. At the time of writing, they have lost the fewest games in the German top flight, have the joint best defence alongside Bayern Munich, and trumped their Bavarian rivals on expected goals against. This strong foundation has allowed young stars like centre mid Konrad Laimer and attacking mid Christopher Nkunku to shine. Laimer now completes 4.8 tackles and interceptions a game, up from 3.6 last term despite the side now averaging more possession, and is completing almost double the passes and triple the long balls he was in 2018-19. Meanwhile, Nkunku is contributing to a goal every 91 minutes in the Bully, compared to one every 231 minutes at PSG, with his key passes more than tripling and his performances remaining consistent despite playing in a number of different attacking roles. If you want to take an even deeper look at Nagelsmann's excellent coaching, why not check out the special scout report we did on him last month. But from this alone, it's clear he fits the Guardiola mould. Tactically versatile but with a strong underlying philosophy, an ability to get maximum attacking output from his players without sacrificing the defence, and possessing the authority to get squads to buy into his ideas despite his relative youth, Nagelsmann looks ready to take charge at a European superpower. And while he has made no secret of his admiration of Bayern and Liverpool, with Flick and Klopp both in for the long run, 2021 could be the perfect time for City to pounce. So that was our take on how to replace Pep Guardiola, but have you got any thoughts of your own? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, why not click on screen right now, as I'm sure it's another EFD banger. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to Football Daily, you won't regret it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.